In the small town of Evergreen Hollow, a fierce blizzard brings together an abandoned beagle named Buddy and a fragile kitten, Misty. Buddy finds Misty half-frozen in the snow and courageously carries her to the doorstep of James Bennett, a retired military man living in solitude. As James nurses them back to health, he uncovers Misty's connection to the Harper family, who were forced to leave her behind during hard times. Through danger, community support, and heartfelt decisions, Misty's journey brings second chances not only to her family but also to James, who rediscovers love and purpose. This is a touching story of resilience, kindness, and the unbreakable bond between humans and animals. Where are you watching this from? Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to DG Story for more heartwarming tales that inspire and connect us all. Your thoughts and feedback mean the world to us. The town of Evergreen Hollow was no stranger to harsh winters, but the blizzard sweeping through this time was unlike anything the townsfolk had seen in decades. Wind howled through the forested outskirts, battering against homes and tearing through the skeletal branches of leafless trees. Snow cascaded from the sky in relentless waves, blanketing the ground and reducing visibility to almost nothing. Streets that were once lively with the chatter of neighbors now lay deserted under an endless sheet of white. At the edge of the town, where the forest stretched wide and untamed, a lone figure trudged through the unforgiving storm. Buddy, a small beagle with floppy ears and a coat matted with frost and dirt, struggled to stay upright against the icy wind. His paws sank deep into the snow with every step, leaving behind a faint trail quickly erased by the swirling storm. Buddy had been alone for months, abandoned when his family moved away and left him behind. First, he had lingered around the empty house, waiting for them to return, but as days turned into weeks, hunger and cold drove him to the edges of the forest, where he scavenged for scraps and sought refuge in hollow logs or under piles of fallen leaves. Tonight, however, even Buddy's survival instincts were being tested. The wind cut through his thin fur like a blade, and every breath felt like ice in his lungs. His stomach growled incessantly, reminding him of the meals he hadn't had. But Buddy pressed on, driven by a primal determination to find shelter and warmth. As he stumbled forward, his ears perked up despite the cold, catching a faint sound that the storm seemed intent on drowning out. It wasn't the eerie howl of the wind or the creak of trees bending under the weight of snow. It was something softer, weaker, a cry. Buddy paused, his tired eyes scanning the white expanse around him. The sound came again, a faint, pitiful meow that tugged at something deep inside him. He turned toward the noise, forcing his aching legs to move as he followed the sound. After what felt like an eternity, Buddy found the source. There, partially buried in a drift of snow, was a small cardboard box. The edges of the box were damp and sagging, its flimsy walls offering little protection against the storm. Inside, a tiny gray kitten lay curled up, her fur stiff with ice and her body trembling violently. Buddy approached cautiously, his nose twitching as he sniffed the fragile creature. She let out another weak meow, her eyes barely opening to reveal dull, glassy pupils. She was on the brink of collapse, her small frame too frail to withstand the unrelenting cold. Instinct told Buddy to move on. She was too far gone, and stopping would only drain what little strength he had left. But as he stood over her, something shifted. In the kitten's tiny, shivering form, he saw a reflection of himself, abandoned, helpless, yet still clinging to life with a fragile hope. With a low whine, Buddy nudged her gently with his nose. She didn't respond. His breath puffed out in visible clouds as he looked around, his sharp eyes scanning for any sign of safety. But there was nothing, just the blizzard, relentless and unforgiving. Buddy hesitated for only a moment longer before making his decision. Carefully, he gripped the kitten by the scruff of her neck with his small jaws. She was so light it startled him, her frailty only fueling his resolve. Turning back toward the town, Buddy began to trudge through the deep snow. Every step was a battle, the icy ground sapping the heat from his already exhausted body. The kitten dangled limply from his mouth, her breath shallow but steady. The storm grew fiercer, and for a moment, Buddy wondered if he would make it. The snow piled higher, reaching his chest in some places, and the biting wind made his legs tremble. Yet he pressed on, his resolve burning brighter with every step. In the distance, a faint light appeared, flickering like a beacon through the swirling white. Buddy's heart lifted. A house, shelter, salvation. He quickened his pace, though his body protested with every movement. The light grew closer, revealing the outline of a small, weathered cabin. Smoke curled lazily from the chimney, promise of warmth waiting inside. Buddy climbed the snow-covered steps of the porch, his paws slipping on the icy wood. At last, he reached the door and carefully placed the kitten down on the cold surface. She let out a faint mewl, her tiny body trembling as she curled into herself. Buddy stood over her protectively, his own legs wobbling as the last remnants of his strength began to fade. Desperation drove him to action. He let out a weak bark, the sound barely audible over the roar of the storm. When no response came, he barked again, this time louder, his voice hoarse but insistent. Inside the cabin, the sound of the wind drowned out all but the faintest of noises. James Bennett, a retired military man in his 60s, sat by the fire, its golden glow casting flickering shadows across the room. James had lived alone in this cabin for years, retreating from the world after the loss of his family. At first, he didn't hear the bark, but as it grew louder, more desperate, he set down his coffee and stood, his brows furrowed. "What in the world?" he muttered, grabbing a flashlight and pulling on his heavy coat. James opened the door. The icy wind hit him like a wall, stealing his breath and stinging his face. Shielding his eyes, he stepped onto the porch and swept the flashlight beam across the snow. What he saw made him freeze. A small beagle stood there, shivering and weak, with a tiny gray kitten curled up beside him. Their fur was matted with snow, their bodies trembling visibly. The dog looked up at James with pleading eyes, his breath coming in shallow puffs. "Oh, you poor things," James murmured, his voice thick with emotion. He knelt down and carefully scooped up the kitten, who let out a faint cry as her body sagged against his hand. Then he reached for Buddy, who collapsed into his arms as if surrendering his last ounce of strength. James carried them inside, the warmth of the cabin washing over their frozen bodies like a long-forgotten embrace. The storm outside raged on, but for the first time in what felt like forever, Buddy and Misty were safe. Buddy lay on the icy porch, his chest heaving with exhaustion. Beside him, the kitten remained still, her fragile body trembling slightly against the unforgiving cold. The storm raged on, howling like a feral beast. Inside the house, the faint sound of barking pierced through the roaring wind, catching the attention of James Bennett. James, a retired military man in his 60s, had lived in solitude for years. He sat by the fire, its glow flickering across the walls of his modest cabin. The blizzard outside barely registered in his mind. He had grown accustomed to the relentless winters of Montana, but the bark, weak and insistent, pulled him from his thoughts. James furrowed his brow, grabbed a flashlight, and threw on his heavy coat. As he opened the door, the icy wind slammed into him, stealing his breath and stinging his weathered face. Shielding his eyes, he stepped onto the porch, his flashlight slicing through the swirling snow. At first, James saw nothing but the ghostly expanse of white. Then, just at the edge of his beam, he spotted a small, crumpled form. His heart lurched as he stepped closer, revealing the source of the barking, a small beagle, barely conscious, with a kitten nestled against his side. "Oh, you poor souls," James murmured. Kneeling down, he placed a hand on Buddy's icy fur, feeling the shivering dog barely respond to his touch. Gently, he scooped up the kitten, who let out a faint, pitiful meow. Her fur was soaked and clung to her bony frame. her breath shallow. James lifted Buddy next, cradling the dog against his chest. Buddy let out a weak whimper but didn't resist. As James carried them into the cabin, the warmth of the fire greeted them like a long-lost friend. Inside, James moved quickly. He placed the kitten on a soft towel near the hearth, then returned to Buddy, wrapping him in an old blanket. The dog's eyes fluttered open briefly, meeting James's gaze with a mix of exhaustion and trust. "You're safe now," James whispered, his voice gruff but kind. The storm outside roared as James worked tirelessly to tend to his unexpected guests. He poured warm water into a bowl, mixing in a pinch of sugar for energy, and placed it near Buddy. The dog lapped weakly at the liquid, his shivering gradually subsiding. The kitten, however, remained in a fragile state. James carefully dried her fur with a towel, feeling the tiny bones beneath his fingers. "You're just skin and bones," he muttered, his voice softening. He placed a small bowl of warm milk nearby, but Misty was too weak to lift her head. Buddy, despite his own exhaustion, stirred under the blanket. He let out a low whine and crawled weakly toward the kitten. James watched as the beagle pressed his body against her, sharing his warmth. Misty let out a faint purr, her tiny body relaxing slightly. The sight stirred something in James, a pang of emotion he hadn't felt in years. He had spent so long burying his pain, isolating himself from the world. Yet here were two creatures, clinging to each other in the face of insurmountable odds. James sat back in his worn armchair, staring at the fire. The storm showed no sign of letting up, but inside, the room felt warmer somehow. He thought about the last time he'd felt needed, about the days when his life had purpose. Buddy and Misty slept soundly as the hours passed. The kitten's tiny chest rose and fell in shallow, uneven breaths, while Buddy snored softly beside her. Every so often, Buddy would twitch, his ears flicking as if still alert even in sleep. As the night deepened, James found himself returning to the animals repeatedly. He adjusted their blankets, checked the fire, and even muttered a few words of encouragement under his breath. "You're fighters, aren't you?" he said, more to himself than to them. By the early hours of morning, the blizzard finally began to lose its grip. The howling wind subsided into a gentle whistle, and the first pale light of dawn broke through the heavy gray clouds. The world outside was transformed into a pristine white landscape. Untouched and silent, James stood at the window, his steaming mug of coffee warming his hands. His gaze drifted to Buddy and Misty, who were still curled up together near the fire. For the first time in years, James felt something stir in his chest, a flicker of hope, fragile but persistent. "They made it through the night," he muttered, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Morning broke over Evergreen Hollow, casting a pale golden light across the snow-covered landscape. The blizzard had left the town in silence, with everything buried under a thick, sparkling blanket of white. From his cabin, James Bennett stood at the window, sipping his coffee as he took in the calm after the. Behind him, Buddy and Misty stirred near the hearth, their small forms still wrapped in the warmth of the blankets James had provided. The kitten let out a soft mewl, her voice weak but audible. As she shifted closer to Buddy, the beagle opened one eye, his tail wagging faintly as James turned at the sound. Setting his mug on the windowsill, he walked over to the animals and knelt beside them, his weathered hands brushing gently over Buddy's head. "Morning, soldier," he said softly, his voice carrying a tone of affection he hadn't used in years. Buddy wagged his tail harder, a sign of gratitude that brought a rare smile to James's face. Misty stretched her tiny body and blinked slowly, her once dull eyes glistening faintly in the morning light. "You've still got some fight in you, don't you, little one?" James murmured. He reached for a small saucer of warm milk and held it close to Misty, coaxing her to drink. She hesitated before dipping her nose into the liquid, lapping up a few drops. It wasn't much, but it was a start. James stood and stretched, his back aching slightly from the cold and the long night of tending to his unexpected guests. He knew he couldn't keep them forever, not with the harsh winter outside and the limited supplies in his cabin. Still, something about the two animals had awakened a sense of purpose within him that he hadn't felt since the loss of his family. As he tidied up the living room, James's gaze fell on Misty's small collar. It was worn and slightly loose, but the tag attached to it caught his attention. He picked it up carefully, holding it under the light to read the faint inscription, Misty, 241, Pine Street. James frowned, his brow furrowing as he tried to place the address. Pine Street was a residential area on the edge of town, though he hadn't ventured there in years. He couldn't imagine how a kitten from that part of Evergreen Hollow had ended up abandoned in the middle of a blizzard. He turned the tag over, searching for more information, but there was nothing else, just the name and address. "Looks like you've got a story to tell." "Ha," James said, glancing down at Misty. The kitten, now curled up beside Buddy, seemed oblivious to the world around her. Buddy, on the other hand, looked up at James with a curious expression, as if he, too, wanted to know what the man would do next. James sighed and pulled on his coat. He couldn't ignore the address, not when it might hold answers about Misty's past. He turned to Buddy and Misty, his tone firm but kind. "You two stay here. I'll be back soon." As James stepped outside, the cold air bit at his face, but the storm had left the roads passable. His truck groaned in protest as he started the engine, but it eventually roared to life. The drive into town was slow, the snow-covered roads slick and treacherous. When he finally reached Pine Street, James was met with a scene of desolation. The houses, once modest but well-kept, now looked weathered and abandoned. Many had boarded-up windows and overgrown yards, buried under layers of snow. James pulled up to 241 Pine Street, his chest tightening as he saw a bright red foreclosure notice nailed to the front door. The sight was all too familiar, a painful reminder of the struggles he'd seen as a firefighter, where families lost everything in the blink of an eye. He climbed out of the truck and approached the house. The yard was eerily quiet, the only sound coming from the crunch of snow beneath his boots. James peered through the boarded-up windows but saw no signs of life inside. A voice broke the silence. "Looking for someone?" James turned to see an older man standing on the porch of the neighboring house. The man wore a heavy coat and a weathered hat, his face lined with the wrinkles of age and hardship. "I was hoping to find out about the people who used to live here," James said, gesturing toward 241 Pine Street. The man nodded slowly, his expression turning somber. "They moved out last week. Bank took the house. Nice family, husband, wife, and their little boy. They didn't have much, but they did their best. Guess it wasn't enough in the end." James hesitated before asking, "Did they have a kitten?" "Small, gray, with a collar that says Misty." The man's brow furrowed in thought. "Yeah, I remember that cat. The boy loved her, carried her everywhere like she was his best friend. But when they left, they couldn't take her with them. I heard they left her near the woods, hoping someone might find her." James's jaw tightened. He could feel a familiar ache in his chest, the same one he'd felt when he couldn't save someone. But this time, there was a sliver of hope. Misty had survived, and now she was safe. "Thank you," James said quietly. He returned to his truck, his mind racing with thoughts of the family who had been forced to make such a heartbreaking decision. As he drove back to the cabin, the snow-covered trees lining the road seemed less foreboding. In the warmth of his home, two small lives waited for him, lives that had been entrusted to him by fate. James parked the truck and stepped inside, greeted by the sight of Buddy and Misty still curled up near the fire. Buddy wagged his tail at the sight of James, while Misty blinked sleepily. "Well, little ones," James said, kneeling beside them, "I found out where you came from. Now we just need to figure out where you're going." The fire crackled softly in the hearth, filling the small cabin with a warm, golden glow. James sat at the table, his hands resting on the wooden surface as he stared at the small tag he had removed from Misty's collar. The name Misty and the address 241 Pine Street were etched clearly into the worn metal, a stark reminder of the fragile thread connecting the kitten to a family he had never met. Buddy lay near the fire, his head resting protectively over Misty. The kitten, though still frail, had regained some strength since her arrival, her breath steadier now as she nestled against the dog's side. The two had become inseparable, their bond growing deeper with each passing hour. James watched them in silence, his thoughts heavy. He couldn't shake the image of the boy the neighbor had mentioned, the one who had carried Misty everywhere. The thought of a child having to leave behind something they loved so dearly weighed on him. His gaze returned to the tag. He knew he couldn't keep Misty's story to himself, not when there was a family out there who might be searching for her. But what would he do if they wanted her back? Could he let go of the small creature who had brought life back into his lonely cabin? Shaking his head, James stood and grabbed his coat. All right, time to dig deeper, he muttered to himself. He stepped outside, the crisp morning air biting at his face. The storm had left a thick layer of snow covering everything, but the sky was clear now, a pale blue stretching endlessly above. James made his way to his truck and set off toward the center of town. Evergreen Hollow was small enough that everyone knew each other, or at least knew someone who did. James headed straight to the general store, a hub for local gossip and information. The bell above the door jingled as he stepped inside, and the warm scent of coffee and baked goods greeted him. Behind the counter stood Martha Evans, the store's owner and the closest thing the town had to a historian. Martha was in her late 60s, with sharp eyes and a knack for remembering every detail about everyone who had ever passed through Evergreen Hollow. "James Bennett," she greeted, her tone both curious and amused. "What brings you out of your hermit hole?" James managed a small smile. "I need your help, Martha." Her brows lifted, and she leaned forward on the counter. "Well, now, that's a rare thing. What's on your mind?" James placed Misty's collar tag on the counter. "Do you know anything about the family from 241 Pine Street? I heard they moved out recently." Martha's expression softened as she picked up the tag. "The Harpers, sweet family, but they've had it rough the past few years. Linda, the mother, worked part-time at the diner until it shut down, and her husband, Mark, lost his job when the mill closed. They tried to hold on, but the bank foreclosed on the house last week." James nodded, his jaw tightening. "I found their kitten, Misty, during the storm. She was half frozen out in the woods." Martha's eyes widened. "Oh, that poor baby. I remember their boy, Jake, talking about her all the time. He adored that cat. Losing her must have broken his heart." "Do you know where they went?" James asked. "They're staying at the shelter in Clearwater," Martha replied. "It's about 30 miles from here, near the highway. Not the best place, but it's warm, and they're together." James let out a slow breath. He knew what he had to do, but the thought of confronting the Harpers filled him with unease. He wasn't sure how they would react, or how he would feel if they asked for Misty back. "Thanks, Martha," he said, slipping the tag into his pocket. Martha gave him a knowing look. "You've got a good heart, James. Don't let it scare you." Later that afternoon, James loaded Buddy and Misty into his truck. Buddy climbed into the passenger seat eagerly, his tail wagging, while Misty rested in a padded box on the back seat, her small body wrapped in blankets. The drive to Clearwater was quiet, the snow-covered roads glistening under the low winter sun. As the truck rumbled along, James glanced at Buddy, who seemed to sense the importance of their journey. The dog sat upright, his ears perked and his gaze fixed ahead. When they reached the shelter, James parked in the lot and hesitated for a moment before stepping out. The building was small and plain, with a faded sign that read Clearwater Community Shelter. James carried Misty in her box, while Buddy trotted beside him, his leash loose in James's hand. Inside, The warmth of the shelter was a welcome contrast to the biting cold outside. James approached the front desk, where a young woman greeted him with a smile. "Can I help you?" she asked. "I'm looking for the Harper family," James said. "I believe they're staying here." The woman's smile faded slightly, replaced by a look of understanding. "They're in the common area. I'll let them know you're here." As James waited, his nerves tightened. He glanced down at Misty, who blinked up at him sleepily, her small paws kneading the blanket. Buddy stood close to James, his body tense as if sensing his owner's unease. Moments later, a woman in her 30s appeared, her face pale and tired. Behind her was a boy, no older than 10, with messy hair and wide, anxious eyes. "Mr. Bennett?" the woman asked, her voice hesitant. James nodded. "You must be Linda Harper. I believe this belongs to you." He knelt down and gently lifted Misty from the box, holding her out for Linda and Jake to see. Jake gasped, his hands flying to his mouth. "Misty!" he cried, rushing forward. Linda's eyes filled with tears as she reached out to touch the kitten. "Oh my God, she's alive," she whispered, her voice breaking. Misty let out a soft meow as Jake cradled her in his arms, tears streaming down his face. James watched in silence, a strange mix of relief and sadness washing over him. For a moment, the room was filled with the quiet sounds of reunion, the kind that didn't need words. As Jake cradled Misty in his arms, the kitten's tiny purrs filled the room, blending with the soft sniffles of the boy's quiet tears. Linda stood frozen, her hands trembling as she touched Misty's fur. The moment felt fragile, as if a single word might shatter it. James stepped back, giving them space, but Linda quickly turned to him. How did you find her?" she asked, her voice filled with disbelief. James cleared his throat, his deep voice steady. "She was in the woods during the storm, barely alive. I don't know how she survived. But this guy here," he nodded toward Buddy, "he found her and brought her to my porch. They've been sticking together ever since." Linda's gaze shifted to Buddy, who sat quietly by James's side. His floppy ears twitched as he looked up at her with calm, trusting eyes. Jake, still holding Misty, knelt down and reached out to Buddy. "You saved her," he whispered, his voice filled with awe. "Thank you." Buddy's tail wagged slowly, his warm brown eyes meeting Jake's. For a moment, everything felt simple, a boy thanking a dog for a life saved. But the simplicity of the moment didn't last. Linda's shoulders slumped, and the weight of her circumstances seemed to return all at once. "We thought we'd lost her," she said, her voice cracking. "We didn't want to leave her behind, but—" She trailed off, tears filling her eyes. James spoke gently. "You don't have to explain, Mrs. Harper. I know what it's like to have no good options." Linda shook her head, her hands gripping the edges of her worn sweater. "You don't understand. We didn't want to abandon her. Jake begged us not to, but the shelter wouldn't let us bring her, and we didn't have anywhere else to go." Jake's voice broke through, sharp and filled with hurt. "You said she'd be okay, Mom. You said someone would find her." His words hit like a slap, and Linda flinched. "I know, Jake," Linda whispered, her voice heavy with guilt. "I thought we were doing the right thing. I didn't know what else to do." James stepped in, his tone calm but firm. "Your son isn't wrong, Mrs. Harper, but neither are you. Sometimes we make choices because we have to, not because we want to, and sometimes those choices don't leave anyone happy." Linda's eyes met his, and she saw the understanding there, the quiet weight of a man who had carried his own regrets. She nodded, wiping her tears. "Thank you for saving her. I don't even know how to repay you." "I'm not looking for repayment," James said simply. He glanced at Jake, who was still holding Misty protectively. "I just wanted to make sure she got back to where she belongs." As the tension eased, Linda invited James to sit with them in the common area. It wasn't much, just a few mismatched chairs and a scuffed table, but it was warm and quiet. Jake sat with Misty on his lap, stroking her fur as if afraid she might disappear again. Buddy stayed close to James, lying at his feet but keeping a watchful eye on Misty. Over a steaming cup of coffee provided by the shelter staff, Linda began to share their story. My husband, Mark, and I moved to Evergreen Hollow 5 years ago. He worked at the mill, and I got a part-time job at the diner. It wasn't much, but we were making it work. Her voice grew softer. Then the mill closed. Mark tried to find work, but there wasn't anything steady. I picked up more hours at the diner, but it wasn't enough. We fell behind on the mortgage, and she shrugged helplessly. James nodded, his own memories flashing back to families he'd seen in similar situations as a firefighter. People who had lost everything in the blink of an eye. Linda continued, her voice breaking. When the bank foreclosed, they gave us a week to leave. We didn't even have a car. Mark carried what he could, and we walked here. The shelter let us stay, but they don't allow pets. We had no choice but to leave Misty behind. Jake looked up, his eyes filled with a mix of anger and sadness. You didn't even try to find someone to take her, he accused. Linda's face crumpled, and she buried her face in her hands. I'm sorry, Jake. I thought it would be easier than saying goodbye. I didn't want you to see her like that. James felt the sting of the boy's words as if they were directed at him. He had made his own hard decisions in the past, decisions that had left scars. James's perspective. The room fell silent, except for the crackle of the small heater in the corner. James leaned forward, his hands clasped. You did what you thought was right, Mrs. Harper, he said quietly. You didn't abandon her out of cruelty. You did it because you were trying to protect your son in the only way you knew how. Linda looked up, her eyes filled with tears. But it wasn't enough. I failed her. I failed Jake. No, James said firmly. You didn't fail them. Misty is here because she fought to survive. Buddy is here because he refused to let her go. And now, so are you. That counts for something. Jake's voice was small, hesitant. Can we take her back? Mom, please. Linda hesitated, her expression torn. I don't know, Jake. We don't even know where we're going next. I don't want her to go through this again. James spoke up. She can stay with me for as long as she needs to. You can visit her whenever you want. And when you're ready, she'll be waiting. Jake looked at his mother, then at James. Finally, he nodded. Okay, as long as she's safe. Linda reached out, placing a hand on James's arm. Thank you for everything. James nodded, his gaze drifting to Misty, now asleep in Jake's lap. Sometimes, second chances show up when we least expect them, and sometimes they bring us together. The drive back to James's cabin was quiet. Jake had been reluctant to part with Misty, but seeing how the kitten nestled into Buddy's side, purring softly, seemed to ease his worries. As James parked the truck in his familiar driveway, the snow-covered pines surrounding the cabin stood tall and silent under the pale winter sky. Inside, the warmth of the fire greeted them. Buddy jumped out of the truck first, his tail wagging as he trotted toward the door. James carried Misty carefully in her padded box, her small body still wrapped in blankets. Once inside, James set Misty down on the same spot near the hearth where she had first rested after the storm. Buddy settled beside her, his head resting protectively on her back. James watched them for a moment before retreating to his chair, sinking into its worn cushions with a heavy sigh. The day's events weighed on him. Meeting the Harpers, hearing their struggles, and seeing the love Jake had for Misty. All of it had stirred feelings James had buried for years. He stared into the flames, his thoughts racing. Later that evening, as the wind howled softly outside, Buddy began to pace. James noticed the beagle's unease, his small frame darting between the door and Misty's spot by the fire. What's the matter, boy? James asked, his tone curious but calm. Buddy let out a low whine, his eyes fixed on James. He padded to the door and back again, his tail wagging slightly, as if urging James to follow. James frowned. "You've already been out today. What are you trying to tell me?" Buddy barked softly, the sound insistent. James sighed and stood, pulling on his coat. "All right, let's see what's got you so worked up." As James opened the door, Buddy bolted outside, his nose to the ground as he sniffed through the snow. James followed, his boots crunching against the icy path. The air was cold and sharp, biting at his face, but there was a strange sense of purpose in Buddy's movements that kept him going. The beagle led James to the edge of the forest, where the snow was disturbed by fresh tracks. James knelt, examining them closely. They weren't human, too large and irregular. A chill that had nothing to do with the weather ran down his spine. "Wolves," he muttered. Buddy barked again, his body tense as he sniffed the air. James knew the forest well enough to understand the danger. Wolves rarely ventured so close to town, but the harsh winter might have driven them to desperate measures. "Come on, Buddy, let's head back." But Buddy refused to move. His eyes locked on the distant tree line, his ears perked and his tail stiff. James reluctantly followed Buddy into the forest, his instincts on high alert. The trees creaked softly in the cold, and the faint rustle of branches added to the eerie silence. Buddy moved with purpose, his nose leading him deeper into the woods. As they rounded a bend, James spotted something unusual, a small, makeshift shelter built from branches and snow. He approached cautiously, his flashlight cutting through the shadows. Inside the shelter was a scattering of torn fabric, a few gnawed bones, and faint paw prints leading away from the site. Buddy sniffed around the shelter, his hackles raised. James's heart raced. The presence of wolves so close to the cabin meant danger, not just for him, but for Buddy and Misty as well. "We can't stay here," James said firmly, tugging Buddy's leash. "Let's go." But as they turned to leave, a low growl echoed through the trees. James froze, his breath catching in his throat. Out of the shadows emerged two wolves, their eyes glinting in the dim light. Buddy growled back, stepping protectively in front of James. James's hand tightened on the flashlight, his mind racing. He knew better than to run. Any sudden movement could provoke an attack. Instead, he took a slow step back, keeping his eyes on the wolves. "Easy," he whispered, his voice steady. The wolves stood their ground, their bodies tense. Buddy barked sharply, a sound filled with defiance despite the overwhelming odds. For a moment, time seemed to stretch endlessly. Then, as if by some silent agreement, the wolves retreated into the shadows, their growls fading into the distance. James let out a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding. "Let's get out of here," he said, his voice shaking slightly. Buddy seemed reluctant to leave, his gaze fixed on the tree line, but he followed James back toward the cabin. Back at the cabin, James couldn't shake the encounter from his mind. He sat by the fire, staring at the flickering flames as Buddy and Misty slept peacefully nearby. The thought of wolves so close to his home unsettled him. He looked at Misty, her tiny body rising and falling with each breath, and at Buddy, who had proven time and again his loyalty and courage. James realized he couldn't let them face this danger alone. The Harpers deserved to know the truth. The forest wasn't safe, not for Misty, and not for anyone. James made up his mind. Tomorrow, he would return to Clearwater. He would tell Linda everything. About the wolves, about Buddy's instincts, and about the danger Misty had narrowly escaped. If they wanted Misty back, he would let her go. But if they couldn't take her, James knew he would do whatever it took to protect her and Buddy, no matter what. For the first time in years, James felt a sense of clarity. He wasn't just saving Misty and Buddy. In a way, they were saving him, too. Morning broke over Evergreen Hollow with a soft glow. The cabin was quiet except for the crackling of the fire and the occasional rustle as Buddy stretched near Misty. James sat at the kitchen table, his hands wrapped around a steaming mug of coffee. His mind was set. He would return to Clearwater that day to speak with the Harpers. But first, there was work to be done. The encounter with the wolves had made one thing clear. He needed to fortify the cabin. The forest could no longer be trusted. And with Buddy and Misty relying on him, James couldn't afford to take any chances. Pulling on his coat, James stepped outside. The air was sharp, and his boots crunched against the packed snow as he made his way to the woodshed. As he worked, cutting lengths of wood and stacking them against the cabin's outer walls, his mind wandered to the Harpers. They deserved to know Misty was safe. But what if they wanted her back? James glanced toward the window, where Misty lay curled up by the fire. Could he really let her go after everything they'd been through? By mid-morning, James had finished his work and loaded Buddy and Misty into the truck. Misty was snug in her padded box, while Buddy sat alert in the passenger seat. His ears perked. The drive to Clearwater was uneventful, the snow-dusted landscape stretching endlessly on either side of the road. When they arrived at the shelter, James was greeted by the same young woman at the front desk. She smiled warmly as he approached. "You're back," she said. "Are you here to see the Harpers again?" James nodded. "If they're available. I've got some things I need to share with them." The woman disappeared down a hallway, and a few minutes later, Linda and Jake appeared. Jake's face lit up the moment he saw Misty in James's arms. "Misty!" he cried, running forward to stroke her fur. The kitten let out a soft purr, leaning into his touch. Linda approached more hesitantly, her hands clasped tightly in front of her. "Thank you for bringing her back to see us," she said, her voice tinged with gratitude and uncertainty. James gestured toward a small seating area. "There's something I need to tell you," he said. Once they were seated, James recounted the events of the previous night, the discovery of the wolves near his cabin and the danger they posed to Misty and anyone else who ventured into the forest. Linda listened intently, her expression growing more serious with every word. "We didn't know it was that dangerous," she admitted. "If we had, we never would have left her there." James nodded. "You did what you thought was best. But now that we know what's out there, we have to decide what's best for Misty going forward." Jake's face fell, and he clutched Misty closer. "We can take her back, Mom. We'll keep her safe." Linda hesitated, her gaze dropping to the floor. "Jake, we can barely take care of ourselves right now. We don't even know how long we'll be at this shelter. It's not fair to Misty." Jake looked up, his eyes shining with desperation. "But she's part of our family." James watched the exchange in silence, his heart aching for the boy. He understood Jake's pain all too well, the fear of losing someone you love, the helplessness of being unable to change your circumstances. That evening, after returning to Evergreen Hollow, James made a stop at the general store. The bell above the door jingled as he entered, and Martha greeted him with her usual mix of warmth and curiosity. "Back so soon?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. James explained the situation, from the wolves to the Harper struggles, and his own uncertainty about what to do next. Martha listened carefully, her sharp mind already at work. "You know," she said, tapping her chin thoughtfully, "this town may be small, but it's full of good people. I'm sure we can figure something out." Before James could ask what she meant, Martha grabbed a clipboard from behind the counter and began scribbling furiously. "I'll organize a fundraiser. We'll spread the word about Misty's story, how she survived the storm and brought a family and a community together. People love stories like this. It'll inspire them to help." James frowned. "I'm not sure that's a good idea. The Harpers might not want their story shared." Martha waved a dismissive hand. "We don't have to give every detail, just enough to let people know they need help. Trust me, James. You'll see." Within days, Martha's plan was in full swing. She posted a photo of Buddy and Misty curled up by the fire on social media, accompanied by a heartfelt message about their journey through the storm and the Harper struggles. The response was immediate. Messages of support poured in, along with offers of donations, food, supplies, even job leads for Linda and Mark. The story spread beyond Evergreen Hollow, reaching neighboring towns and even local news outlets. James was initially hesitant about the attention, but as he watched the outpouring of kindness, He couldn't help but feel a spark of hope. One evening, Martha stopped by the cabin with a stack of envelopes. "These are for the Harpers," she said, placing them on the table. James flipped through the letters, his throat tightening at the words of encouragement and generosity. One letter, written in a child's shaky handwriting, stood out. "Dear Misty, I'm so glad you're safe. You're a hero. Love, Lily." James smiled faintly, glancing at Buddy and Misty, who were napping together near the hearth. "Looks like you've got fans," he murmured. A week later, James returned to Clearwater with the donations in tow. Linda and Jake were overwhelmed by the support, their faces lighting up as they sifted through the supplies and read the letters. "This is incredible," Linda said, tears streaming down her face. "I don't even know how to thank you." James shook his head. "It's not just me. It's the whole community. They wanted to help." Jake looked up from a letter he was reading. "Does this mean we can take Misty home?" "Mom." Linda hesitated, then smiled softly. "Maybe not yet, Jake, but we're getting closer. And when we're ready, she'll be waiting." The morning sun bathed the cabin in soft light, its golden rays streaming through the frosted windows. James sat at the kitchen table, sipping a fresh cup of coffee while Buddy lay at his feet. The beagle's tail thumped lazily against the wooden floor as he watched Misty, who was curled up in her favorite spot by the fire. The cabin was quieter now. It had been weeks since the Harpers last visited, but the memory of their heartfelt reunion lingered in James's mind. They were rebuilding their lives, step by step, with the support of the community that had rallied around them. Misty's absence from their home was a temporary wound, one they had agreed to bear while they found stability. James glanced at the corner where a box of letters sat. Each envelope held words of encouragement from people near and far, strangers touched by Misty and Buddy's story. The fundraiser had brought in more than just money. It had reignited a sense of connection and kindness in Evergreen Hollow. As James leaned back in his chair, the distant crunch of tires on snow drew his attention. He set his mug down and rose, peering out the window. A familiar car was pulling into the driveway, its tires kicking up small sprays of powdery snow. Stepping out were Linda and Jake, bundled tightly in coats and scarves. Jake was carrying a brightly wrapped package, his breath forming small clouds in the chilly air. James opened the door with a smile. "Wasn't expecting company today," he said. Jake grinned, his cheeks pink from the cold. "We couldn't wait any longer. We had to see Misty." Linda chuckled softly. "And to bring you something. Consider it a small thank you." James stepped aside to let them in. The warmth of the cabin wrapped around them, and Misty, as if sensing their arrival, lifted her head from her cozy spot by the fire. "Misty," Jake called, dropping to his knees as the kitten bounded toward him. Her movements were more playful now, her strength fully restored. Jake scooped her up, laughing as she batted at the pom-pom on his hat. Linda placed the wrapped package on the kitchen table. "This is for you," she said, her voice warm. "We've been meaning to bring it by, but things have been hectic." James raised an eyebrow as he untied the ribbon and peeled back the paper. Inside was a wooden frame holding a photograph. It was a candid shot of Misty and Buddy, curled up together near the hearth on their first night at the cabin. Beneath the photo was an inscription, "To James Bennett, the man who gave us all a second chance." James's throat tightened, and he blinked quickly to clear his vision. "This is beautiful," he said, his voice rough. "Thank you." Linda smiled. "It's the least we could do. You didn't just save Misty, you saved us." As Misty played with Jake near the fire, Linda and James sat at the table, their conversation drifting to the Harpers' progress. "Mark's working full-time now," Linda said, her tone tinged with relief. "And I've been picking up extra hours at the bakery. It's not perfect, but it's a start." James nodded. "You've come a long way in a short time. You should be proud of yourselves." Linda hesitated, her hands clasped around a mug of tea. "We couldn't have done it without you, or without the community." is humbling, to say the least. James smiled faintly. Sometimes we all need a little help. No shame in that. Linda looked over at Misty, who was now sprawled on her back as Jake scratched her belly. I think we're almost ready to bring her home, she said softly. James's chest tightened, but he nodded. She's your family. She's been waiting for you. A week later, the Harpers returned to the cabin for what would be their final visit. This time, they came prepared with a new carrier for Misty and a large basket of supplies for Buddy. Jake, though overjoyed to see Misty, seemed quieter than usual. He sat with her by the fire, stroking her fur while she purred contentedly. James watched the boy, sensing the unspoken emotions. You're happy to take her home, aren't you? Jake nodded, but his brow furrowed. Yeah, but I'll miss her being here. And Buddy, too. James crouched beside him, resting a hand on the boy's shoulder. You'll always be welcome here, and Buddy's not going anywhere. He'll be here whenever you want to visit. Jake looked up, his eyes shining. Promise, promise, James said with a smile. As the Harpers prepared to leave, James helped Jake secure Misty in her carrier. The kitten didn't fuss, though she let out a small meow as the door clicked shut. Buddy followed them to the car, his tail wagging as he watched the family load up. Jake knelt to give the beagle a final hug. You're a good dog, Buddy, he said. Take care of Mr. Bennett, okay? Buddy licked Jake's cheek, earning a laugh. Linda turned to James, her voice thick with emotion. I don't know how to thank you for everything. You've done more for us than we ever could have asked. James shook his head. You don't owe me anything. Just take care of each other. That's all that matters. As the Harpers drove away, James stood on the porch with Buddy at his side. The truck disappeared down the snowy road, leaving the cabin in silence once more. James looked down at Buddy, who wagged his tail. Well, boy, he said, scratching behind the dog's ears. Looks like it's just us again. Buddy barked softly, leaning into James's touch. Over the following weeks, James adjusted to the quieter life. He kept in touch with the Harpers through letters, receiving updates about Misty's adventures in her new home. The kitten had settled in well, her playful spirit bringing light to her family's days. One evening, as James sat by the fire, he glanced at the framed photo Linda had given him. It sat proudly on the mantel, a reminder of the bond that had brought them all together. He thought about the storm that had set everything in motion, the snow, the cold, the desperate cries of two small lives seeking warmth. It had been a moment of chance, but also a moment of choice. For James, that choice had changed everything. As winter gave way to spring, the snow began to melt, revealing patches of green beneath the frost. James spent his days tending to the cabin, his steps lighter, his heart fuller. He had found more than just companionship in Buddy and Misty. He had found a reason to open his heart again, a purpose that extended beyond himself. The fire crackled softly as James settled into his chair. Buddy curled up at his feet. The cabin, though quiet, no longer felt empty. Here's to second chances, James said softly, raising his coffee mug. Buddy wagged his tail, and the flames danced, filling the room with a warm, golden glow.